Hello and welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to be continuing my playthrough of the Long Dark and passing on what I've learned so far. I've actually found this game really enjoyable, so I'd consider this a hidden gem. So we are currently on the survival mode. What I would say, actually, I stand by what I say, it is a hidden gem. What I did find is when I went through to do the story mode, which is the winter mute option, it did crash quite a lot. So there were some cutscenes, some kind of backstory that you couldn't click through, which was a little bit frustrating when it crashed, because it looked like it actually could be quite interesting. So the art style is kind of, it almost looks hand-drawn, as you can see there, but we're going to jump straight in with survival, and hopefully it has saved our progress. So you can see there is a December update, so it looks like there was some extra DLC on there, but we're just going to carry on with our playthrough. So all I've done is knock the volume settings down, so there's a bit of environmental noise in the background, but you can still hear me talk. And I also jumped in at the easiest difficulty, just so that I could essentially enjoy the game and get some hours of playthrough without worrying about kind of dying all the time. So when you first log in, you'll be prompted to choose an area of the map that you want to spawn into. I went for the town because that seemed to make sense, that there'd be lots of shelter and hopefully lots of wonderful loot, which turned out to be a good choice. So just to refresh, down on the bottom left, we've got our condition there to look over. So we've got temperature, we've got fatigue, drink and food. And we have an inventory system with a limited amount of capacity, and that is done by kilograms. So we can currently carry up to 30 kilograms, and in there we can kind of cycle through the different types of things that we have in our possession. We can then go through, there's some kind of crafting type stuff that we can do straight from the off. Haven't actually done too much on this. We've discovered a couple of locations, but we've not ventured too far at the moment, and I'll tell you for why in just a second. There's our character. He's not looking too happy, but he is as snug as a bug in a rug there. It's got we've managed to upgrade some of the clothing so that we've got those nice ski gloves, a couple of layers of clothes, and you can actually, it's nice that you can layer that up on the character itself. And you can see here we've got the slot. So I haven't got any accessories just at the moment. So we'll see what we can pick up as we continue looting. So we got some stats down there at the bottom. We got a warmth bonus of +8 degrees, windproof bonus of +5, protection of 14, and sprint means that we're not too heavy. So we've got 88% capacity there. So what I have done, so we'll just pop outside first. So there are very short loading screens as you come in and out of different buildings, but that does also prompt an automatic save. So there's no manual save option here, it will be automatic, so I would recommend sleeping quite often. So we have spawned in to a little village here, so he's got a box of matches in his hand. And what I have done is I found a tin of spray paint in one of the houses. And what it means is that you can actually go along the properties and mark them up. So as you can see here, what I've done is I've kept it quite simple in that X means that I have searched this property already and looted it. And this one, there was a storage option, but every time you use the aerosol can, it will deplete, and so I wanted to save that a little bit. So what I've done on here is I've just put this extra kind of, I'm not sure what that actually is officially within the game, because you get a number of options, but I just marked it on there because if we pop back inside, what I've done is, so that we're not weighed down with our inventory, I've actually stored it within this building. So if I open this cabinet, you can see that I've put all my kind of food and drink items in there, or quite a number of them, as much as I could store. And I've done the same throughout this particular building, because it isn't well, at least I don't think it is. It's not actually a kind of open world server where people are going to come in and loot your base as such. It's just really to see how long you can survive. So the reason I chose this particular house is we've got this lovely stove burner here, and we've got a pot of water on the top of it, which means we can boil water, which makes it drinkable and we don't get sick. We do have quite a lot, if I can remember where I put them. We have a lot of different medicines as well. As you can see there, I've put some clothing in those particular drawers, and I'd put quite a lot of medicines and things around the game, because I'm still quite early into the playthrough. So I've not kind of got sick yet. I've not died as yet. I think the survival mode means that once you are dead, you are dead. And at first I just kind of dropped all the items onto the floor. Whereas I've started to become even a little bit more organised. So we'll just pop that into a drawer there, because what I want to be able to do eventually is go a little bit further afield. So the Long Johns, wasn't it? We've got quite a lot in our inventory here. One thing I would say is that it would be nice to have would be if there was some kind of on-screen prompt to show you that you're actually wearing the clothing at that particular time, because otherwise you could accidentally drop something that you're wearing. But that's just a small kind of thing. So I think the 100% ones are the ones we're wearing. That means we can shift those over into our storage. We will just check our character quickly, make sure that he is wearing some long johns. New thermal underwear. So we hadn't, so it's a good job that we checked. So the kind of backstory is that you've crashed on an airplane through an electromagnetic storm, which means anything electric doesn't work. So unfortunately you can't use the cooker or the microwave, but we've literally gone around this particular area just seeing what we can loot. What I do want to do is, there is a house somewhere up on a slight hill, which is a lot bigger, and I want to claim that for my own and probably move my inventory. So we have a bit of a wander around. Not all the houses you can get into, but you can see that as I've gone through and I've looted them, I've marked them up with an X. And then down this end here, so we can sprint back. Oh, I don't want to do that. We can sprint via R1, but that will take some energy. So you can see that then we're going to move out of this area. So I wanted to make sure that I got everything that I could before I then moved on. As the name would indicate, the long dark means that the night times are quite long and pitch black. So much so that once you enter a building, you will not see anything at all without a light source. So I want to carry on exploring. Oh, it looked like we could harvest something then. What's that? Harvest cattail plant. Okay. You can see that there's some wildlife dotted around. I haven't done any hunting yet. There is some ice fishing as well, I believe, that's also available. So we have another little menu here, a radial menu. If we press, or I have to look at the joypad here. Sorry, L1. Don't know my left from my right. So we've got then light sources, which at the moment would be matches and a flare. We got our food that we can eat. We haven't got any weapons at the moment, but we have got camping, which is quite nice in that it's fairly simplistic in that if you've got the materials, it will automatically kind of build one for you. We can pass time as well as sleeping. We have a bedroll if we've got nowhere to sleep, but obviously the colder it is, the less protection you have, the colder it will be. And ice hole fishing, we don't actually have a fishing rod at the moment, and it doesn't look like we can build a snow shelter. Okay. So let's carry on around this area. Because what I could really do with is some kind of lantern of some description. You can sleep throughout the night time, so as long as you have enough resources to kind of keep you going, so obviously enough food and drink. So when you go to a bed and you are prompted to sleep, you'll be asked for how many hours, and it will give you an indication of what resources you'll consume. So there's that house I was talking about over there up on the hill. That's going to be my next point of call. So when you're outdoors at the night time, it's not pitch black. You can still see stuff, but certainly, yeah, in the houses you can't see anything. You can also that hasn't got a trunk, but you can also have a look inside vehicles. So they'll tend to have a glove box and potentially a trunk as well. Put our matches away, and then let's head up to this house, because I found this in the middle of the night, and once got in there couldn't see anything at all. So let's check the post box first, see if there's anything of interest there. Looks like we've already done that. So if you can hear the parrot in the background there. So let's head inside and see what goodies we've got. So there are materials dotted around that if you've got the right materials, then you can break down into like component parts. We've got a nice granola bar there. We'll definitely take that. It looks like we've got a pretty fancy stove here, so that means that we can actually cook on the stove. It's a bit of an upgrade to our initial base. So what I'll do is the same as I'd adopted before. Couple of barks, anything interesting? We don't want to eat dog food. We're not that desperate just yet. So it is on the basic setting, pretty forgiving. You can go through and make it more challenging. But as I say, I just wanted to get some hours into the game and see what it had to offer and not worry too much about all those kind of management areas. There's a light, it looks like there's a light source coming from somewhere there. So we got ourselves what looks like a wonderful fireplace here. We got ourselves a cooking pot. So we'll put that on the, rather than carry that round, because I imagine it'll be quite heavy, we'll go and pop that over on the stove. We'll do that now, actually. So we should be able to place things on there. And as you can see, again, quite intuitive controls. If we've got the raw materials to start a fire, we can click on there. I don't want to do that at the moment because I don't want to use the consumables. So that becomes something that we can use to cook, and of course a heat source as well, and light in the night time. So it's good to have that there. Let's have a little look around. So I've not gone through all the drawers at the moment because I'm going to head upstairs, make sure that we've got a bed up here so we can sleep those long dark hours away. Got a nice comfy bed. Let's so we'll start up here. Looks like we could do with a drink actually. So if we go to our radial menu, go on to food and drink. So that's just food actually. Let's go on to drink, and we'll have ourselves an orange soda. So yeah, I've actually really enjoyed my time in this game. So, you know, it's not, as you can see, it's not ultra realistic. I do like that there's varying levels of difficulty that you can have. I'm sure there's going to be a lot more to open up as we go through the game. So sewing kit, that'll enable us to repair some of our stuff. So what I'm going to do is, rather than carry everything now, I'm just going to pop some of the stuff that we don't need to wear. And I'm going to put the ones that are lesser quality and the things that I know that I'm not wearing at the moment into the cabinet. So we've got the jeans on, we've got the scarf on. So this is where it would be good to have some sort of indicator of what you're currently wearing. Because I know I had there's the two hats. So if I put, again, the lower quality ones in there, then, because we're definitely not wearing 3 hats, is that these can also be broken down into material. So if we break down the hats, for example, that's going to give us cloth, and that means that the items that we are wearing, we can actually upgrade. So if I go to the menu now, go to clothing, and it looks like, so if we go, for example, to the woolly hat, the condition at the moment is not great. So if we press actions, we've got some cloth, sewing kit, so we can repair that, and it is going to give us some increased protection, which is always good. So we'll just have a little look at the other stuff that we have on at the moment. So we'll get layered up there. So we've got a decent sweatshirt, we've got a hoodie, and we've got a windbreaker. So we should be looking pretty decent there. And then we'll just go about having a look around these other rooms. So what I'll do is I will just transfer cloth. So we do have a hunting knife there, so we can break that down into 3 cloth, which, as we just saw, is very good for repairing. Bathrooms tend to have... Oh, we've got a flare shell. Nice. Bathrooms tends to be that you can't get water out of the sinks, but you can get them out of the toilet, unusually. So that you'll automatically have a fluid container that you can top up. We've got some antiseptic there. There's sometimes a first aid kit in the bathrooms. So I'm guessing that as you go further afield, you can get infections and things like that. Cardboard boxes. So these look like raw materials that we can break down, essentially. Anything interested in there? No. We've got a second bedroom. Oh, and a trunk. Let's hope there's something good in there. Wow, okay. That looks like something we definitely want to take. Take some cloth. Worn jeans. Again, I'm just going to take everything at the moment because I'm going to store it all in one place so that even if we're not going to use it, then we can have it to break down into source materials and we're not clogging up our inventory with it. We've got a lovely sweatshirt on here. Don't think that's as good as the one we're wearing. So that looks like we have taken everything from upstairs. So what I'm going to do again is just make sure that what we are wearing is the best. So that gives us... So, sorry, I was just realised I'm not explaining what I'm doing. So you can see over on the right-hand side that you can see some indicators. So there, if we wear that, it's going to give us some increased heat. So it's up by 1.3% on the windbreaker that we were wearing. The windbreaker is going to stop wind more effectively because it's going to add 2.4. So this urban parka, I've not seen any rain yet, but if it rains, it's not going to give us such good protection. It's also going to slow us down a bit. Gives us actually not great protection either against the weather. So what we'll do is we'll wear that for now. Let's store some stuff. It's the same as before. The things that... So we can just go down there on the left-hand side of the menu and just pick up the stuff that we're not currently wearing. What have we done there? Sorry, I went over to the cabinet instead of the clothing. So we definitely don't need 3 pairs of jeans. So we'll get rid, as usual, the stuff that's not in the best of condition. I'm going to keep the windbreaker on me just so that we can change that on the fly as we're going around. We don't need 2 pairs of socks. It would be good if we could layer them up. And then we're going to go back to our character to make sure that what we've just sold isn't something that we were wearing. So we've got shoes, socks, thermal underwear, jeans. We're wearing the parka. We're going to keep the decent windbreaker. We've also got a hoodie and a decent sweatshirt, decent pair of gloves, a scarf and a hat. So we're looking pretty good there. So we've now gone up to a 10-degree warmth bonus. The windproof bonus has dropped a little bit because we took off that windbreak, but overall 15% protection feels pretty decent. So that's upstairs done. Want to make the most of the daylight hours, so I'm not going to do any resting just at the moment, but you can see the second icon along on the bottom left is meaning that we're getting a little bit more fatigued. So that is actually coffee dotted around the environment. We've got lantern fuel there. That is surely going to come in useful and would lead me to believe there's a lantern somewhere. You got a sneaky little pair of running shoes hiding down there. We've got a new dress shirt and a worn hoodie. Anything else? So books are good, as you would expect, as materials to then burn. Quite a few of them dotted around, so we should be all right there. Not sure what the broom would... so you can break the broom down. So where is this lantern then? It'd be really good to have a source of light other than the matches, because the matches, as you'd expect, burn out pretty quickly. But you will need them. I mean, it is so pitch dark, pitch black, I should say, in the night time. We'll have a little look through the cabinets here. We'll just pick everything up at the moment so we can pop them into one. And then we'll go about claiming this place as our own. One thing that I did notice is that although we have a map, and as I say, I've not kind of gone too deep into the game. So there is no tutorial to speak of, really. You kind of dropped into it, especially on the survival mode. So the survival mode doesn't have the cutscenes and the introduction, and as I say, unfortunately the game did crash. That meant that I couldn't go through the narrative of the game, so I don't know whether that kind of slowly introduces you to the different mechanics or not, so I couldn't say for sure. Okay, so I think we've been through everything there. We're not going to carry another heavy cooking pot, but we will put them all on the stove here. So again, we can click on stove, we can place cooking pot on there. You can place another cooking pot on there. And what we can do is that water that we collected from the toilet, we don't want to drink. We can boil it, but we're going to need a heat source. So I would say it's better to do that during the hours of darkness, the many hours of darkness, so that you can spend those daylight hours going and exploring and looting. Nothing in the fridge there. Okay, not sure whether we're supposed to keep him in there. I'm not sure. Well, we'll take it. Okay, so that looks like it's making us cold. That's interesting because we've got a fish in there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pop him back in, actually. So we got food there. Oop. So we click on X. That takes us into our inventory. We can move that over to the freezer. I'm not sure whether putting our drinks and stuff in there will freeze it or not. It would make sense that we want raw meats and things like that in there. So I'd kept quite a lot of, as you can see in my inventory, quite a lot of food and drink on me. Which, because I'm not venturing too far, I'm not sure that I need to worry too much about that. So I'm going to put that into the cupboard there. So we'll just go along and we'll keep a couple of things for whilst we are out exploring. A couple of drinks. So that's that cupboard full. Beautiful. We'll then do the same here. Don't need to take masses of stuff. I will keep the water bottle because, as we saw, we can fill that up as we go. So I'm just going to keep, I think, just a couple of things there. I think 2 drinks, 2 food is probably going to be enough for as far as we want to venture. I've not searched these ones yet, but they look like they are potentially empty. Yep. So we've got plenty of storage space here. There's yet another cooking pot. So we'll place that on there. We're doing well here. Again, just keeping our inventory space clear. Quite a bit there in the kitchen. We'll leave the dog food for now, in case we get a little bit desperate. There's something else on the floor there. Cotton hat. What a scarf. Oh, that's cloth. So we'll break that down. I wasn't going to do that just yet. And we had stored our clothing up at the top of the stairs here. So we'll keep it all nice and organised. Down to clothing on our menu. Click X to get into what we want to transfer. Interesting to see if the running shoes actually offer more protection than the boots. We'll do that in just a second. We've got another hoodie in there and the dress shirt. Let's have a look and see what is better in terms of footwear. Have I just dropped those? So yeah, those boots are better. So okay, let's put the running shoes away as well. So as you can see, there is it's not overly complicated. I think sometimes, especially when I'm looking through games, I don't want them to be, really difficult. So I like the kind of desert island games, those sorts of things where you're building and crafting, and some of it just gets a bit too difficult. So you're not able to enjoy the game because you're just worrying about staying alive, basically. So there's a game called Stranded, I believe it was, that I actually had a lot of promise and really enjoyed the early bits. But yeah, it was just really stressful actually. So what I'll do is to kind of round off this particular video, we'll just mark up this house. This will become our new base. What we'll then do is the other house that we designated for storage, we'll get that into our inventory, shifted over here, so that we've got a nice little base to work from. So we've got a fire here that gives us a nice heat source, and in the kitchen we've got this stove, and we've already got 4 pots on there ready to go to boil water and whatnot. There's a little hidden piece of tinder plug down there. So I'll mark that up, and then what I'll do is I'll just make sure that saves. So when the game's auto-saving, you will see down the bottom right-hand side a little kind of axe type thing. So to mark the house up, we're going to go into our inventory, and we're going to find ourselves our spray can. And then you can see there that there's a couple of different shapes you can put on there. So we got clothing, avoid direction. This looks like we can put this on signs as well. This shape is not shown on the map. So these will be shown on the map. So I'm going to designate this as food and drink. There we are. And you can see now that what I mean by the map is that in the town, when you go to the map, the only things that are going to show up are the areas that you've sprayed. So it's going to be interesting as we go further afield in the environment. We're obviously going to need this spray can to mark out where we're going, so that we've got some kind of indicators. Otherwise the map is pretty much non-existent. So there we have it. That is the Long Dark. How are we going to sum this up? So I did one original video which I do believe I uploaded. This is a continued playthrough because it's definitely something that I can see myself spending quite a number of hours in. The art style's a little bit different in that it looks almost like it's hand painted. But yeah, we have, if the original map's anything to go by, where you choose where you dropped in, well then it's a fairly decently sized sandbox where the aim of the survival mode is to survive as long as you can. So we're going to go and loot different areas. We spawned into what looked like the most populated part, so we chose the town, and I've been going through the different points of interest around the town to make sure that I can stock up ready for going a little bit further afield. There's lots of loot certainly on the easier setting, and the depletion of the food, drink and those sorts of things is pretty forgiving too. I expect it's a different game if you whack those settings up and those difficulties as you go through the game itself. So I didn't see the autosave icon come up. So I'll finish the video with a top tip there is do make sure that you see that happen. There you go. So there's a little saving icon on there. Because the other way that you can do that is by having some sleep. So you can sleep on the beds. You can choose the number of hours that you want to rest for, and that will mean that you'll need resources to help you survive through that sleep. I do hope that's been useful. If the Long Dark is something that you've been looking at and aren't too sure about, I personally would recommend it. I looked at the video on the PlayStation Store, and that seemed to kind of show more of the narrative. And as you can see, the graphics are not ultra realistic. With so much content on the PlayStation Store and the Plus subscription, which I think is really good value for money, then it's very easy to just kind of go through games and within a couple of seconds decide, well, maybe it's not for me. And I'm glad that it was my partner that downloaded this game. Fortunately, she's a gamer too, and a lot of the simulator games and things like that I've actually been introduced to by that, because as I say, the videos don't look all that exciting. and I just find this a nice kind of alternative to the AAA kind of massive open world games where you can easily spend an hour doing one mission. This you can take at your own pace. I wouldn't call it a kind of cozy simulator per se. It is a survival simulator, but we've kind of changed that by making the settings as easy as possible. I am very fortunate that I'm going to have a short break for some winter sun, and then I'll be getting back to trying to upload more content to the channel and grow subscribers and viewers. So please do give the videos a thumbs up. It really does help massively. If you hit the subscribe button, that's wonderful as well. I've hit my first milestone of double figures of subscribers. It's a small thing. I'm not expecting to be a YouTube millionaire anytime soon. And ultimately, I'm doing something that I enjoy and I can easily capture it on the PlayStation 5. So it's not hard work. I don't have to do loads of editing, but it would be really nice to know that there's viewers for these videos. In the future, just quickly to round off, I'm conscious that I've said I'm going to end this video a few times, and you'll find that in my other videos I do like to talk a little bit. A little bird tells me that a PlayStation VR 2 is going to be in Santa's sack for me this year, and I'm really looking forward to jumping into that. I do have the Quest 3, so I'm familiar with VR, and also within that I have Gran Turismo 7, I think it is, and a racing wheel setup. So I'm very, very excited to jump into that. I'm not sure how well that's going to translate into the videos, if I'm honest. Hopefully I can capture some VR content directly through the PlayStation, because that's proved tricky on the Quest. So there's a couple of games on there I'm very eager to jump into that include Hitman, so that you can expect that in future videos in the new year. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope to see you in future videos.